Now, I also have a little bit of fun here for you. I always go pick up any products that are on the counter, and I have a literally slew of these construction runoff guidance manuals. Remember, during the construction, you got to make sure that you maintain the water runoff, erosion, etc. That was part of the lead. It's now mandatory just about in every town. Your regular Title 24 is an actual code, which is actually called California Energy Code, CEC, but also is part of this is part of the IECC, the International Energy Code. And some things are not really mandated. By the way, you remember the blue codes I mentioned? The whole thing is blue. See that? They had this much work, and this was all errors. It was like 3 weeks after that they published the errors. Somebody actually read it. But the other one is that I showed you this. This was my actual book that is being edited and will be part of there. And it'll have some animation, and it'll have very, very colorful. This is actually on the LEED v3. And we will have these formats, all the guidelines. This is like a cheat sheet for you to remember that if you ever take the test. At the same time, the actual book is written in this format, a very interesting format that I created, and this will be online as well through the Greenery. This is something that I'm working with our dear friends. This is a part of it, what we call this, our version is called the Nevada Solar Tree, and it's going to be done in Nevada, primarily for, and that's one sample. The actual book that I finished on LEED v3 that you will see, it will be online, free, it's this, and a friend of mine called it the Swedish edition. He didn't understand it. He thought it's Swedish. He bind it from me. He did pass the test, but he called it the Swedish edition. Also, this meet a light bulb. What is the life expectancy of this light bulb? Just throw a number.
50,000 or 10,000?
100,000. 50,000 means when your child is born, she will go to college. That's 18 years. 100 years, he will be divorced from the second husband or second wife, and they will have 4 kids in the orphanage. That's 36 years. This is the primary reason is very expensive, but the primary reason for this is for areas where they're reachable and you want it to be 120 feet or etc. for highways, so you do not go back. What is the cost of changing a 75 cents light bulb? For a company? $20. That's the magic number. $20 for a 75 cent light bulb. By the time they get procured, goes into the accounting, etc. Every one of those pennies accounted, you find out. So when you put a light bulb, and you're talking about those projects, imagine you put an LED light and you come back to it 18 years later, right? You don't have to go back up the ladder, maintenance costs, etc. So you can look at it in many, many different spectrums. So these are some of the goodies. And the word sustainability, I love this. And I chaired an international symposium on biological effects of EMF. Do you remember that? There was a lot of lawsuits. The guy used to say, oh, I got bald because of EMF. I can't have any children because of EMF. I got divorced because of EMF. Anyway, what was happening is that a photo tube, an old TV that you had a phosphorus sending electrons to the screen. That screen was magnetic, was creating a magnetic field. What was funny was that we have magnetic pollution throughout. Guess what? Go through your a power pole, you'll find out your AM radio has static, right? The AM radio picking up that static is the magnetic field from the post, etc. What happens is, when the Taiwanese started making the monitors very, very cheap, they took this thing out. And this was controlling the magnetic field within that tube not to get out or not to come back in. Once they took that out, every tube, every TV monitor became a sensor. And from that point on, from 92, there was a massive lawsuits. It never got anywhere, by the way. It sort of faded, and I was an expert witness on that issue. But the reason I brought this thing up, look at the material. How many people are nerds to take this thing out other than me and to recycle this? None. Imagine the amount of volume of recyclables items that you throw in the trash. If you study civil engineering, how do we deal with it? And it gets buried forever, etc. And we have methane, etc. That's the word sustainability. That's one part. I actually have another cup that I got from a show. This was all recyclable corn. So next time you want to have popcorn, use this. And I also had a cup that was made from shredded money. So if you want to go to the bank, you take your cup. So that's the main issue. Sustainability means really how long can you maintain it? How long can you keep it? And if you go to the Goodwill, you will find out brand new shirts. The guy wore it once, is at the rack at the Goodwill. Is that part of sustainability? You can consider that as a recyclability, but not as a sustainability. You're not supposed to put that shirt out there. You did not use it. And what is the ratio of the men's section and the women's section in a department store? Is a 1 to 5,000, right? So the main issue is the recyclability. You know, some have it, some don't. Or the main issue is, are the female sections, do they believe in sustainability? We got to promote all that at the same time. These are some of the goodies. I got more and for the next segment. But going back to the theme that we had, if we want to have a punchline, and we were taking a test, for the sake of argument, we were taking a test. What does Calgreen save? 3 million metric ton by 2020 of CO2 emission. That's the thing. You could interpolate that, and don't forget, the state of California is, what is the ranking on the economy? 7th, 8th. But depends on whether we have good economy or bad economy. What was Orange County? 17th on its own, right? Imagine you have that, and the United States is a consumer of the 65 million people that we have. We essentially are 25% of the economy of the entire country. And the United States uses 25%, creates 25% to pollution of the world. So we do have a percentage, right? So you take that and put it aside, and we have these mandatory quote-unquote forms that simply says 20% reduction on the indoor water use, which means right now our water, our toilets, etc., is based on 1.6 gallon water use, which was based on the 1992 Clean Water Act, right? Remember that? State put that away. We are beating that by 20%, which means we are at 1.28. Now, is 1.0 gallon working well? The answer is yes. I have it here. Do they have any problems? What is the minimum pressure that we have to have for the system to work?
25.
25 psi. That means that if I don't have 25 psi behind that thing does not work. If I don't have it, I got to put a booster pump, something to put the pressure in. The major issue is they're going after 30, 35, and 40%. Let me just give you some general broad perspective. 30% is easy. Go water, less urinal, etc., you're easily there. With 1.0 gallon per flush, you're there. 35 and 40%, you're pushing it. You're pushing it. You really have to have waterless urinal, absolutely, whether you like it or not. The other one is you got to work on all of the other fixtures, your dishwashers, etc. Guess what? Calgreen addresses dishwashers. The league did not address dishwashers. It was like a voluntary item. But it is on the voluntary section of that, and it was addressed in the 2008 code. The dishwashers was a major issue. So just know it. The other one is separate water meters. This one is brand new. Even God bless League, they did not even have it. they are controlling. Exactly what does that mean? Why would second water meter do? It's measurable, it gives you a sensing device. It gives you a control device, something. When you pay that bill, you feel, oh my God, right? Irrigation is a very good percentage of the use of water within the state, especially in the arid zone, right? The other question is, what is the water use per capita of us versus Australia? Anyone? 40 to 140. And sometimes we are at 170, depending on how long our shower takes and how much backyard do we have. But average of Australia is 40, right? And that's why you see a lot of grey water, and I've given a lot of talks on grey water. You see a lot of products from that side, on grey water. The other one is, I like this one. I can go to many areas and find evidence that you have water too much. The problem is the house. I mean, we are not architectural landscape architects. We are not landscapers. So we let that water go. The more is better, right? Wrong. What happens is you're going to create overwatering, has secondary problems. But the major issue is they were talking about moisture sensing devices long time ago. You would stick something in there. It identifies the humidity or the moisture of the contents, and based on that, it does what? It simply says, I need water or I don't. So you are going to have what? An intelligence behind that device. You no longer are behaving. And now, if you have no sun for 5 days, guess what? You're not going to have that evaporation. Your basis, you're going to have mulch in there. Your evaporation also. There's a lot of issues. But landscaping is now part of the code. The other one is, I have already discussed, the 50% diversion of the construction demos. How much do we generate from a building in terms of kilogram or pounds per square feet of junk? Construction demo, what is it? 2.5 pounds per square feet we create worth of demo to the site, landfills. Guess what? Get your 50%, and very likely as the demo contractors are becoming more sophisticated, etc., they will go towards 75. Maybe the city will say, hey, you wanted that extra parking lot? You want to reduce it? No problem, I'll give you that parking. Go towards 75. So you got to get some cookies, right? You got to get something to do extras. But they're going towards 65, 75, 85, 80, and I saw a company on the internet that was saying they do up to 95%. Just about everything gets sorted out. Now, this one is very interesting for the interior designers, for just about everybody else. There is a major project that's going to happen, let's say, in Las Vegas, right? This technically is the code. Now, if it becomes a green code, automatically we'll have it. The funny part is, the industry found out that the low VOC products are cheaper to make. I don't know where were they sleep, what were they doing. In the United States, as you know, there is no R&D. As long as I can make money, I can get my millions, give another 5 million for bonus, and my stocks go up by a percentage per year or 5% per year, everybody's happy. Or do they have R&D? No. What was funny was that when they went for a low VOC elements from adhesives to that, they found out it is cheaper. Guess what? Procter & Gamble. Right now it is cheaper for them to make organic, non-organic chemicals to clean. And by the way, their maintenance is cheaper. Fire department loves you. They have less headache from the factories, their storage. So that is very, very interesting. The next one, the inspection, mandatory inspection. Right now we have inspection. But the inspectors do not do a major job. There is part of the Title 24, it's called mandatory inspections, which is part of who does it. It's like commissioning, it's a low-level commissioning. But if it is 10,000 square feet or more, you're mandated to go find somebody and go there and come back with what? And give me a efficiency of that unit. That unit that you have, is it working or not? Up to 10,000 square feet. Wherever that number is fine. You can go make it 5,000, But the major issue is, remember, at the very end of my statement is it measurable? If you can't, it's like an odometer of gasoline, right? Or your speed limit. You don't want to go too fast, you don't want to be too low, you want to be at your right speed. That's the same thing. The air conditioning, mechanical equipment, etc., has to be inspected to identify its functionality and efficiency.